What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of RPO College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jerome Jones, and I'm here with my guy, the man, the myth, the legend. You already know who he is, Ray Roberts. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, Jerome. How are you?
Good, man. Good, man. Hey, college football, you gotta love it. You have to love it, man. Another good week of college football. I don't know about this week. And the funny thing is, Ray, we said that last week. You said we don't know about this week, and it turned out to be a very good week, at least in my opinion. What do you think about the week, though?
It was good, except for Notre Dame not really playing well. It was good,
It always take that like when your team loses or not playing well, it always stings and like kind of draws down the rest of the week for you. You know,
Absolutely.
like it could be great football and you loved it, but it's just like, and the week was okay. I mean,
well, whenever your team, like, as you know, Ryan, my son's a Notre Dame fan, and
correct.
And I talked to a lot of Notre Dame fans, and honestly, the consensus was, oh, they're going to really beat up Cal this week, and I'm like, well, until I see. And honestly, here's the thing. I don't really like debating people, especially Ryan, because he has inside information and he kind of covers the team. So I don't like debating with it because sometimes, especially when I'm spending time with the granddaughter, sometimes it turns into this little snippy type thing, and my time with them is too valuable to me right now. So I just don't say anything. I just kind of – but my thought was, wow, I cannot predict that until I see their offensive line play better. That's all.
That's true. And we'll definitely get into that game because there's definitely something I want to talk about with that. But we're going to get into our first topic right now, Ray. And this is a little off the cuff. I didn't tell you that we were going to talk about it. But Herm Edwards fired on the spot. Like, hi, hey, Herm, come to this. Come, you just lost. Come here quick. Yeah, we're going to let you go and just let him go on the field. I mean, love Herm Edwards. We both do. I want to know what's your takeaway from not only just him being fired, but the way he was fired.
The way he was fired was cold. Honestly, if you were going to do it, you should have did it before the season started. There was a lot of but they sorry, I just got a message and I was paying too much attention to that. But there was a lot of people that thought he should have been fired before the season started. Yeah. If you're going to do it, that would have been the way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Herm has always been a classy guy. I mean, hey, I don't know him personally as far as I've seen, as far as I know and hear a lot of things of him. A lot of people talk about how classy he is, how much of a stand-up guy he is. And to kind of do it in that fashion was kind of tacky in my opinion. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it, is just being tacky. You said, you could have fired him before the season started. You could have fired him even after the game when emotions wasn't so high. You know, you give yourself some time to think about it. Let him marinate in what just happened, and then break the news. Allow him to kind of go to his team. I'm pretty sure he. Right after the loss, he told his team in the locker room. I mean, he had to, right? So right after a loss like that, your team just lost. They're already going through emotions and, upset and stuff like that. Then you go and say, hey, guys, that was a bad game. By the way, good luck with everything. Like, I thought that was crazy.
The other thing that would bother me is the other thing that I would think about if I were them is – when you do things like that, the other coaches that may be interested in your job may think, "Ooh, they did do a class act like Herman Edwards. What are they going to do to me if I fail?"
Definitely. Let's get to some of the chat because we got some guys in here. What's up, Remy? He says some of these coaches that have coaches in the NFL and have big names should not take jobs that are small schools. It's not hard to compete. It's not hard to compete or be competitive with the big boys. It's just too hard. It's just too hard to compete with. Yeah, I agree with that. It is definitely. I mean, it's the intrigue of going to our smaller school and being able to turn around a program. I think that's what it is, honestly, because you look at even Deion Sanders, right? Going to a small school, yes, it's HBCU, But like that's what everybody's dream is, to be like, hey, I built this team, I took it here, and then you are able to get a bigger job, and that's why a lot of people are talking about Deion Sanders possibly leaving Jackson State because of that. But I agree definitely what you're saying, Remy. But at the same time, like I can see the intrigue why big name people and players do that. Right? You agree with that, or
No, I agree with you. I think that you got to remember he's from that area.
yeah?
It probably was like a job that he probably looked at it like, I'm from this area. It's a nice place for my family to live.
What's going on, Don?
And again, like you said, if you turn that program around, then you've achieved something. But you know what, man, I'm not going to get into semantics if he deserved to be fired or if he didn't. Some people thought he should have been fired at the end of last year. So,
No, I agree. Look at Levyville and Illinois disaster. No, and hey, listen, Remy, I 110% agree with what you're saying, but also understand why the intrigue of a big name going to a small school too. Don says, "Why did they fire him like that?" Yeah, and Don, I know you kind of came in just a little late, but that's exactly what we're talking about. Why it would had to be just like that. Like go on the field and to come on the field right after a heartbreaking loss and be able to say, "Hey, we're gonna let you go." And even if it was respectful kind of way they did it, it's the situational awareness for me. You get what I'm saying? Like it didn't seem like it was like a malice kind of like, "Hey, dude, you're out" kind of thing. It seemed like they talked to him. He respectfully said, "Thank you," shook his hand, and walked off the field. But also, you got to think about how that affects the students, because now the students just came in, they lost a game, and then they lost the head coach, and then now have to go. They coming off a field and having a um not a bad feeling, but like a feeling of defeat. Because I've been in that situation where our team just lost, and like, dude, like I barely want to talk. I don't want to think about it. Like, let me go chill. Let me stop thinking about the game, or think about the game for the day and kind of get rid of it. But now, not only that, you have to think about the loss of the game. Now you think about the loss of your coach, and now, oh man, it's my fault that my head coach got fired. You get what I'm saying? A player
yeah,
maybe or something like that cost the game. Now you're thinking, dang, I got my coach fired. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's
I think, like, honestly, though, Jerome, if you are a football coach, no matter if it's the NFL or college, you really know if you don't succeed after the third year, you're probably going to get fired.
yeah, I agree.
If you have not made strides in, being a better team, then you're probably going to get fired. Dude. So
Oh, Don, you saying he couldn't even talk to his team? I didn't hear that part. Wow, that's crazy.
couldn't talk to them, he wasn't allowed, or couldn't talk to them, he was too emotional about it.
I think he means he wasn't allowed. Wow, that's if that's the case, Jesus. I didn't hear that part. That's
No,
crazy.
neither did I. Do you any idea who they're going to put in his spot? Is it going to like?
So Ray, and now one of the things I was going to talk about. So might as well talk about it now. I actually texted this to you. They are looking at your boy, Mr. Urban Meyer.
Well, I heard
To
about that. Well,
Yeah,
that's not going to happen this year, though.
I don't. Nah, nah, nah. It's not gonna happen this year. But that's
Yeah.
somebody that they thinking about it. I think if I'm not mistaken, the defensive coordinator is the interim right now.
Okay.
But yeah, I think they was looking. I think they're looking at Urban Meyer. What do you think about that? Well, I
Uh,
shouldn't maybe maybe I shouldn't ask you because I know how you feel, but tell the listeners how you feel about that.
um, I would be surprised if he takes that job. I think at the offseason he'll get a better offer than that. He'll use them as a tool to get a better offer from another team. He's
That's
not
true.
going to Arizona, dude. It's not high. It's not a high enough profile of team for him.
No, I get that. I get that. And the other question I was gonna ask is, is week 3 too early to fire your coach? Because we got Herm just got fired. What's the other guy's name?
Frost.
Scott Frost. Yeah. 3 games into the season, not really
Again,
making.
I wouldn't do it like that. Here's the difference though. In college football, you can kind of do that. In the NFL, if you do that, you got to pay them all the money,
Yeah.
and there's repercussions. In college, I think there's a clause where you can just pay so much of it.
Okay. Wow.
I'm
Interesting.
pretty sure.
But in the sense of mid, I get it in a sense because you can start your coaching search earlier, and then you can kind of you are allowed to evaluate in house. So if there's somebody like you have in place that you're like, all right, let's make this person an interim coach, see how they do, and then we kind of evaluate it at the end of the season. I get that too, but at the same time, do you think it's too early to evaluate how or even allow the coach to kind of rebound from the losses? That's what I think. That's what I'm trying to say.
I think that that's the one reason why you do that. Maybe you think that if your players feel bad about the guy losing his job, and you hire the defensive coordinator to take his position, that means at least everything on the defense will stay the same. Again, I don't think I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have done it, and it's not because we all know that I like Herman Edwards. I do. I respect him as a guy who's a football person. I respect his mentality. I respect the kind of a person that he is. That's why I wouldn't have fired him like that, though.
Yeah.
So I respect guys like I remember Herman Edwards. I mean, I know this. I mean, this means I'm old. I got that. I remember an undrafted free agent for the Eagles who made a very good career for himself in the NFL.
Correct.
I respect that. I
Yeah.
respect the guy that I know gives a lot of effort, a lot of heart, a lot of soul to every team he's a part of.
Yeah.
Again, why I wouldn't have done it. But I understand why they think they felt like they had to do it because they were not playing good football. They
Yeah.
hadn't really played good football in about a year and a half, to be honest with you. That's why either to me, I would have fired him during the offseason, or
Hmm.
I'd just let him coach out the season.
No, and I agree with that because and again I don't know Herman Edwards personally. I never met him in my life or anything, but from what I hear from people, you know I know some people in the industry. Just seeing him on TV, him as the Jets coach, him as the on ESPN, him after that being at Arizona and the way he carries himself, the way he talks, the way people really like him, and he brings off that very uh, 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 great vibe to him, where he's like a good person. He seemed like he's a very good person. So
Mm-hmm.
to fire him, and again, I don't know him personally. I'm just going off what I know, what I'm hearing, and what I see from this side of the camera. But from what I heard and see, to fire him like that, very disrespectful. Even when like he got fired, he respectfully, didn't complain. He didn't really have his face didn't really change. Maybe he knew it was coming, but he came up to him, gave him a handshake, thank you so much, and like walked off the field, respectively. He didn't make a scene. He didn't, show a face like "oh my god" kind of thing. He was like, "Thank you so much," and literally you can read his lips say "thank you so much," handshake, and then ran off the field. So it was, I don't know, the way they did it was weird. It's very weird, and what it is now to fire him, I think that's up to the organization. Never want anybody to get fired, but it's up to the organization. If they feel it's time to move on, I understand that. It just sometimes it's a time and place. And that was, in my opinion, that wasn't the time and place. And that's not even a knock to Arizona as an organization. That's just what I think in that moment, at least.
Here's the thing. The other thing you got to remember: Arizona is not a primetime program. I
Yeah,
mean, they're obviously a college program.
correct.
They're in a great area of the country,
Oh yeah,
but they're not a big time program.
yeah.
And now you want to try to go out and hire an Urban Meyer, who's a big time coach. Not my cup of tea as a person.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, we all know that as a recruiter in college football, he's done excellent work there.
Hmm.
He's not going to Arizona. So if you did that thinking you're going to get Urban Meyer, then then you just screwed up twice.
Yeah.
Honestly.
No, I agree. I agree. All right. Let's move on to some games, man. We gotta talk about it. So let's get into the first game. We're gonna talk about Penn State dusted. I mean, I say dusted Auburn. Actually, that's not on our list, is it? No, it's not. But let's talk about it because is Penn State good now, or is it a mirage, Ray?
Here's the question: is Penn State this year's Michigan from last year?
Oh, don't do that.
Okay. And here's the other question: no, they're not. They're a good team.
Yeah, they
We
are.
all know that their coach does a good job recruiting. He does. They have a lot of talent on the field. They
Uh-huh.
absolutely do. The quarterback's not that good, but the talent around him is pretty good.
Yeah.
Eventually he'll do something stupid that will cost him a game or two.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I have faith in Jim Harbaugh, more faith in him than I do in the Penn State's coach. So
No, and I agree. And let me pull up their schedule who they play so far. So yes, they dusted Auburn. I mean, completely 41-12 game. Um, they had no chance. Auburn. They had no chance. Three games they played: Purdue, Ohio, and Auburn. Not Ohio State, Ohio. So, and each game been 35 points and more. They beat them, and the most points they gave up was the Purdue game, which is 35 31. All the other games were 10 and 12. So defense been playing pretty well, but um, I don't know, man. I'm still jury's still out there for me. I mean, I have a couple of Penn State fans that are over the hill that are like, yeah, like Penn State, Penn State. I'm gonna pump the brakes, but I will give them the credit. They're doing very wonderful. They're playing very, very well. So far. I'm not gonna go on the. I'm not gonna say they're good yet. It's only week 3, going into week 4, and it's the same thing with NFL. Like there's some 0-2 teams that I'm like, let's pump the brakes on them. It's only 2 games. Let's give them a couple more games and decide. Okay, this team's actually not as good as I maybe thought. So, or good as I thought, or may think also. So, tell people kind of pump the brakes a little bit on saying they're really good, but Remy says Auburn's in the rebuild. It's not going to be a quick rebuild. I agree.
yeah, but I'll say the same thing that I said a couple weeks
Right,
ago.
forget about the Dolphins. Finally, we're gonna talk. We'll talk about that at the end. We'll talk about that at the end.
We no, they took my thoughts thinking
Auburn.
my yeah, like you may need to reload a team. You know what though? At least it was a good Big Ten team. I agree. I just don't think that you're Auburn.
Yeah,
You shouldn't get mopped on the field all over the field like that. I mean, you shouldn't. I mean,
exactly.
it happens, but you shouldn't. It shouldn't happen. You know?
Yeah, yeah, and I agree. I 100% agree with that. Auburn got some solid recruits coming in soon. Not in world breaking, but they got some solid guys. I know a couple of guys are actually going there. But I don't know, dude. That was definitely butt whooping. I just wanted to bring that up because it was such a lopsided game. I don't remember the spread on that game, but I don't think anybody thought they was gonna win by 29. It was. So that was a big game for them.
It
And
was.
hey, keep rolling, get that momentum. I mean, they got Central Michigan, they got Northwestern, and then they play us. They probably gonna roll on. They might be undefeated, most likely be undefeated until they get to us. So that's gonna be a very interesting game. It's gonna be in Michigan, so but we'll definitely talk about that later.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, so let's get into our weekly the rest of week 3, right? Yeah, week 3.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get to our first game: Michigan State versus Washington. Um, was that the game we had? Yeah.
That's the first
Michigan
game.
versus Washington. That was a game I actually picked Michigan State to win. And I did not get it. So we're gonna talk about our picks all right after this. But Ray, what do you think about that game?
I think that Michigan State inability to really run the ball like they did last year is going to
Yep.
hurt a lot.
Yep.
I think that Washington, we know Michael Penix is a good, talented quarterback, and he showed it last week. He balled out. So
We shredded them, right? And
yeah.
I think we were just talking about, or either we were talking about it, or I was watching it on ESPN or something like that,
Mhm.
where they were talking about Penix not being a good quarterback, and I was just kind of like, I wouldn't say not good, but I think he's a very solid quarterback. And he went off, but 24 for 40, 397 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. If that's not a good quarterback, I don't know what is. Like he might be streaky. He might, be, I don't think his lows are super low. His lows are low, like any normal quarterback. Um, but he can't get hot like he just did against Michigan State. And he's familiar with Michigan State too, being
Correct.
at Indiana. So he's comfortable there. The running game on both sides actually wasn't good, right? We got 42 yards and 106 yards. Sorry.
Mm, But Cameron Davis averaged for over 4 yards a carry. I mean,
He
it
did.
was solid. I mean, he did enough.
But,
And
but the
Mike,
thing, right, his longest run was 30 yards. So all of his other yards after that was he was 16 for 39.
yeah, I mean, and Thorne from Michigan State didn't play bad,
Yeah.
but their defense was so bad they just couldn't keep the lead. They
Yeah,
really
their defense was really
they couldn't
bad.
stop them, you know.
Yeah, and they can't sustain that running game like they usually do. And what's your thought on Thorne, the quarterback? And
I like him. He is upside. I think he's a good college player. I
yeah,
don't see a lot
solid
of
guy.
upside as far as NFL.
Yeah,
Maybe backup, third stringer, clipboard
yeah,
type of guy at the next level. But I mean, he has a size for sure,
yeah,
and he's got
and
solid arm talent. Not great, but solid. You know.
yeah, and again, like he didn't play bad at all in this game. Actually, he had a 71% completion rate, but he's not a guy I think you can rely on just straight slinging the ball like he did and coming back from in a game like this.
That's correct.
It's
You got
like,
to remember, Michael Penix is going to look better playing in the Pac-12 than he did in the Big Ten.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Simple.
So, no, I agree. I just think that Michigan State, they're not going to be the Michigan State of last year. I mean, again, I said this before the season started. I think they're gonna struggle without having, um, what's his name, Kenny Walker,
Of
simply
course.
because they relied on him so heavily last year, so heavily to the fact
Well,
that like they were going crazy on us with in Michigan because they were doing play action because we was trying to stop him so bad. And even when we tried to stop him, we couldn't stop him. So it was like it was basically run, 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 play action, touchdown. Run, 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 play action, touchdown. Like it was literally like that against us. And if you don't have somebody behind them once they leave that at least can at least help with that, it's gonna be rough. And Booger and Collins and the other kid name, I forget his name, Brochard. They
Bouchard, yeah.
didn't they didn't run that well at all. Their averages are really bad in this
Well,
game.
here's the thing. Like last year, their defense wasn't great either, but you could hide it
Yeah,
by running the ball and keeping them off the field.
correct. Keeping off the field, correct.
That's all.
Yep, yep. So I agree. So Michigan State might be in trouble. Yeah, might not look as good this year, and to my pleasure. But we'll talk about that when we actually play them. All right, next game. Florida versus FSU. Right, what do you think about that one? As I pull up the score.
Who? What one? I'm sorry, Jerome. What? Florida, USF.
Florida versus USF. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I think Anthony Richardson came back to earth a little bit. Didn't play
Yeah,
as well as he had the previous 2 weeks, and they just hung on and kind of pulled out a win, an ugly win, to be honest with you.
yeah. It was very ugly, and like you said, everybody was really high on Richardson, especially after the first game. and he struggled in this game. And I think that's that is a product of us hyping up a guy very early in the season after a really good game. And I'm all for giving people their flowers once they play well, but the man was 12 for 27, 116 yards and two interceptions. That is not good. Oh, I'm sorry. That's Buchanan. Sorry. He was 10 for 18, 112 yards and two picks. So it was almost the same actually. Both quarterbacks was not doing well.
No, I mean
Um,
they did manage to run the ball very efficiently,
yeah.
and throw the ball to the tight end a little bit. And Justin Shorter had a couple of nice big receptions. I mean,
Mhm.
again, Florida should have won this game pretty easily, and they
Yeah,
didn't. They didn't play well,
they
but they
didn't play
they
well.
still managed to hang on and win. So
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they still Florida. They still play South Florida. South Florida definitely had a chance to win, but the talent level is definitely on a different scale. And Florida did not look that good. I mean,
they didn't.
they were ranked 18 at the time. I don't know what their current ranking is, but I would not be surprised if it was in the 20s after this. Actually, I could check for you real quick here. So Florida is 20 exactly. Yep, exactly what I thought. They're ranked 20 now. So, yeah, they didn't play well, and we'll definitely see who how they do because let me see who they got next. If I can pull it up, they have uh they have Tennessee next with that's gonna be a tough one. Eastern Washington, Mizzou. They got LSU look pretty good this week. Then those SEC teams: Georgia, Texas A&M, South Carolina, Vandy, FSU. So they have to start cleaning that up if they're gonna play, but they do not look good right now. No. So all right, let's get to our next one. Let's go to Texas A&M and Miami, right?
Um, Again, an ugly game between two teams that didn't really play well. Texas A&M found a way to hang on and get the win. I mean, I guess that's really the only good thing you can say about either one of them.
Yeah.
Miami had played pretty well up until this game
Mhm.
offensively. Tyler Van Dyke came back down to earth where he did okay, but he didn't make any explosive plays and nothing to write home about. I mean, you score 9 points, that kind of says it all, right? So,
Yeah, if you guys do not like watching defensive play, this is not the
yeah.
game for you. For real. I like these closer games, but um, yeah, Miami looked like they were in control at one point, um, or could have got control. I'm sorry, it looked like it was getting momentum, but I feel like once the third quarter was over, they looked really sloppy. I mean, I watched the second quarter of this game. I couldn't watch the whole thing, so I didn't see the beginning part of it. But when I came into it, it was 3-10, and then it was 6-10, and then once Texas A&M got that late touchdown in the third quarter, it was over. Like Miami cannot move the ball. It was very very bad. They only had 300 uh 392 yards total. Yeah, I'm over here counting and it's showing me right in my face.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, 392 yards, and they are yeah, they cannot move the ball in the second half at all. Like it was very sloppy. I believe they had a fumble, if I'm not mistaken, too, that really hurt them. Um fourth, it was 4th and 4. They couldn't get that. So it's like a lot of things in that game were just like very sloppy, and it was defense again. If you don't like offense, I mean, if you like offense, this was not your game for sure.
No, it was ugly. It was really bad. I'm sorry, man. I keep getting fire alerts for work. That's why I keep messing with my phone.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
The alarm,
Um.
the alarms are going off right now, and it's driving me bananas. So,
Uh
yeah.
oh. Do you need to go, sir?
I do not. I don't need to go until like
Okay.
I don't. I've learned a long time ago. I've been in this complex for 10 years. I learned like 6 years ago until I get a call from the answering service, the fire alarms are going to go off and there's nothing I can do anyway. And they're just going to tell me to get out of the way. So I'm not going, that's all.
Gotcha.
I'm good.
No, I hear you. I hear you. All right, let's talk about two more games, then we can get to our pick'ems. FSU versus LS. I'm sorry, Louisville, right? What's your takeaway from that one? Where is it? That was a Thursday night game, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah,
Honestly, that was actually a pretty decent game. I
it
mean,
was.
fairly high scoring. Not a lot of defense, but I mean,
Yeah.
if you like scoring offenses, Florida State play well, Louisville play well, which they kind of do on offense.
Mhm.
I keep wishing that Florida State was a better defensive team because the good
Right?
teams that I've seen from Florida State were always good defensive teams.
No, and it's funny you said it because I was just thinking that when I was talking about it, I was just like, we've been talking about Florida State for a while now and how they're such a streaky team, like in a sense where that you look at them and you like, man, it's got this recruit and they just got that recruit. They got this player on the team. They got that player on the team. This player's going to the NFL from FSU and this player going to NFL from FSU. But when it comes to putting it all together, it don't seem like they can ever put it all together for whatever reason. Now, yes, they did get this one. Congratulations, but these should not been that low and that down on these on the Cardinals like that. They are undefeated right now, but I'm gonna say this right. They're one of the most disappointing 3-0 teams right now. I'm just gonna say that. I don't know if that's how you feel right now, Ray, but they are to me. I just
Yeah, I mean, they're a good team. They're a solid team offensively. Again, I keep expecting a little more from their defense. I'm just not getting it yet.
yeah,
You know?
and that's what I mean too. It's just like and they beat LSU, they beat Louisville, and they beat Duquesne. Duquesne they blew them out. That's Duquesne. Close win with LSU, and yeah, it was a fun, entertaining game watching that LSU game. But and then they just squeak out with Louisville, and you gotta remember this is the SEC team. They play Wake, they play NC State, they play Clemson, they play Michigan. I mean Miami, and they play on Florida this year. They better
Yeah.
get their act together because they can lose like 3 games this year. They could lose 3 games this year. So again, very disappointing with them because again they always seem like they're very talented. And again, we say this every time. I feel like we say this every time we talk about FSU and Miami. Very talented teams. They just for whatever they can't get it together. So all
Yeah.
right, Ray. Let's talk about the last team, and we're gonna talk about your team, Ray, because yeah, they beat Cal like we both predicted, but it was a close one, Ray. And off screen, me and you kind of talked about it already. Excuse me. Oh no, we were just talking about it on here. I'm sorry. Um, it was bad, and there is one point, and I want to ask you about this because I don't know if you've seen it or heard of it, and it's kind of going viral. One of your coaches, I believe he's the offensive coordinator, called down to Penn and chewed him a new one, and it got captured on camera, and you can see him talking. What was your reaction to that? And do you think that helped him in the game at all? Like because I didn't see the full game, so do you think it helped him? Maybe motivate him to play a little bit better to speak out to him?
May have motivated him. I know that the head coach was really upset with him too.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Freeman was very upset with him. I don't know, but dude, Drew Pine is what Drew Pine is.
Yeah,
He's not that good. He's a good kid,
yeah,
and he tries his butt off. But you can't squeeze blood from a turnip, man. It's just not going to happen. I mean, he
yeah.
is what he is. And people like, I was not a huge Ian Book fan, but he's
Yeah.
not even that good. So
Mhm.
again, you can't squeeze something out of the kid that he doesn't have.
Ian Book, who's on the Eagles right now, by the way, which is
You
weird.
know,
But
yeah,
anyway,
thanks, but that whatever.
but wow, yeah, I think I asked you this last week. I was like, Drew Pine. I feel like for some reason you had like a glimpse of hope for him at one point. I could be wrong.
Because he's a solid athlete.
Yeah.
He has solid arm talent, no arm strength, but solid arm talent. But you have to have a good running game to go around him. And they can't run the ball if you can't block up front, period. They actually did a better job pushing the pile this week. They
Yeah.
did.
I was
They
about to say
absolutely did. But them explosive plays that you need out of the running game are not going to happen until you improve especially the interior of your offensive line. It's not going to happen.
exactly. So I want to ask a question because again, and guys who are watching this, it's almost impossible for us to watch every single game. So sometimes we watch a game, sometimes we're busy too. Sometimes we watch one game and another game beyond. We can't really fully watch these games. So just keep that in mind as well. But unless we have like a screen with a whole bunch of TVs on it, and even then you can't really watch them all. But anyway, college football is a lot of teams. So I didn't get to watch this game, but when that moment when that happened, what caused that? Because it wasn't like he threw an interception. Did he fumble or something like that? Like what caused that outburst between the coaches?
He did not see two wide receivers that broke wide open.
Ooh.
And I saw that too, and I watched some game highlights. I'm not supposed to tell people I see game film, but sometimes I do. Correct. And he did not see, but you know what? The other guy did the same thing the week before, against Marshall. Yeah. They had there was indecision on what they could do up front because the one thing a quarterback can't do, I know, and it's hard because you're getting beat up front. You can't focus on the offensive line. If your guy doesn't do his job, just pick yourself up. Yo, you didn't do your job. Then I'm not even saying you should say something to him because you're kind of a backup quarterback. But you go in there and say, "Yeah, man, you missed a block there, and it made me miss the guy." Or you can go to the side and tell the coach, "Yo, I know I missed that guy, but I didn't see him. I didn't have enough time to really see him." And when you're Drew Pine, at least with Buckner, he has a strong arm. Mm-hmm. Drew Pine don't even have a strong enough arm to make that secondary throw.
Yeah.
So he's looking for the first guy, and when he doesn't get open right away, he's kind of pulling it and trying to run with it. Now, the coach wants him to hang in there and make the throw, and I got that part. But again, you're asking a guy who has very minimal experience playing at the college level to see his second and third reads when he's not getting great blocking up front.
Yep.
They did a better job run blocking this week. Their pass protection has been horrible all year. Mm-hmm. And now you're telling a guy who obviously doesn't trust the offensive line, and honestly, an offensive coordinator who doesn't trust the offensive line to trust the offensive line.
Yep. Doesn't make sense. It's always bad because, in football, you have about 4 seconds to get rid of the ball. Just 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. If you take one of those seconds to bring your eyes down and see what's in front of you, and then look up again,
it's over.
3 seconds. You got to get that ball out quick. So you don't have time to go look at this guy and then he's not open. But then I see this guy coming at me right here. That's 2 seconds. And then to go back up the 3 seconds here and try to get that ball out and cock your arm back and throw it within 4 seconds. Because that guy's probably coming at me and hit me right now.
And it's great that you said that, Jerome, because that's exactly what was going on. Yep. Instead of getting that 3 to 4 seconds, he was getting like 2 or 3. Yep. And then he was putting his head down. And again, the coach is telling him, well, you can't put your head down. And he's like, okay, well, that's really easy to say from the sideline. It really is.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why, offensive line, one of the most premier positions in the game. It really is. All right. So with that being said, Ray, we'll definitely see how your team goes. But let's talk about some rankings because, Ray, we've been doing our predictions for the last 3 weeks. I've been in the lead. Each game, I think last week we tied. First week I won. I think I had 4 games.
4 games lead on me. Yep.
We tied the second game. So how did we fare in this one? Well, we only had 2 games difference last week. And guess who that went to? You, sir. So I'm only 2 points up right now, 34-14. I'm still in the lead. but I am uncomfortable because I'm only 2 games up, and Ray's really good at this picking stuff. So we're gonna have to change that up a little bit. But I think we might have some differences this week, Ray. Um, so congratulations on your win. You was 9-2, very efficient last week. I was 7-4. So let's get into our predictions for this week now. So let's get it. All right.
We'll say this: this is going to be a tough week.
It is. It
There's a
is.
lot of really close games. Like it's
Right.
not like that's one thing I don't like about the first couple weeks. Usually, there's a couple really easy games. Like
Mhm.
you could Alabama. Yeah, they didn't play well against Texas, and then of course they schedule a couple cream puffs right after that. So you know.
Yep. Oh yeah, you know how Alabama does. So yeah, I agree with that. But I think we're gonna start this is the after week 3. That's when the good games start happening. I mean, I kind of told you how some of the games, the conference games start going on and stuff like that, especially with the SEC start playing your conferences. The Big Ten is about to start playing themselves and stuff like that. So we're about to get some good ones. So hang on to us. I'm sorry, week 4. I'm going to say after week 4. So hang on, hold tight. We're about to get some good play. We said that last week. We was like, oh, it's not a lot of good games. And I feel like there were a lot of good games. So let's talk about it. We got Coastal Carolina versus Georgia State. Coastal Carolina will be here in Atlanta, where I reside. They are favored by 2, but Georgia State is at home. Ray, who you taking?
This is one of the. You know what? I'm going to take Coastal Carolina.
Okay.
I mean, we talk about we like Coastal Carolina.
Yeah.
They usually have a pretty solid roster. They have a good
Mhm.
coaching staff. Um, I'm not crazy about the pick. They're only favored by 2.5, but I'll take them.
Yeah. I'm going to go the same route. I mean, obviously, I really like Coastal Carolina, as you say, Ray. I will say this year's Coastal Carolina team is going to struggle a lot more than they have been in the past few years, and you're starting to see that. I still think really highly of Grayson McCall, but the talent around him is definitely not the same. So I'm not gonna say it's like a huge difference because they still have a lot of good talent there. But it's not going to be like the Coastal Carolina that you've seen previously, where there's games where they're blowing guys out or being at BYU and stuff like that. And I don't know their schedule, but I think once they start playing those kind of teams, it might be a little scarce this time, where you can be like, oh, there's a chance they might win. This one you're going to be like, ugh. And I just pulled it up. The next best game, they got Marshall, they got Appalachian State, of course, and they do have James Madison as well, and Virginia. They do have Virginia too this year, so they got some tough ones come later on for sure. We'll see, but yeah, I'm gonna stay with you on this one, Ray. I'm going with Coastal Carolina as well. There is a lot of close games on here. Next one we're going to talk about is uh, Virginia Tech versus West Virginia. Virginia Tech is favored by 1.5, but they're home.
You know what? I'm going to take West Virginia in that game.
Mm,
Pretty much only because I like their defensive front a little bit better. So I'm going to
yeah,
go there with that game.
yeah. I'm going with VTech. Again, we always say this. I think they're. I don't think they're the better team. I think they're the more athletic team. And in a game where it's just this close, I think the athletic team is going to be a little bit better. Although I think that Neil Brown's a better coach over there. I
Yeah.
do like Neil Brown. I do like him and at West Virginia. I wish the program was a little bit better for him, but coaching is better there. I think Virginia Tech is a little bit more athletic, so I'm going to take them a little bit faster too. And they are at home, so I'm going to take that part of it, and I'm gonna run with that. All right, let's go. Now this next game, before you would think, oh man, like come on, it's Clemson, they're gonna win.
Mm-hmm.
But Clemson been struggling lately. They're away. They're playing Wake Forest, who's pretty good this year. They're both undefeated, both in the same division or conference rather. Um, Clemson is favored by 7. The line did move a little bit from Monday. Like I say, each week I do the lines every Monday. It was a little bit closer. Clemson is moving past that just a little bit. What is your thought on that game?
I want to take Clemson in the game. I don't
Yeah.
feel good about giving up a 7-point spread the way they're playing right now.
Hmm.
But I do think, though, I think if there's a game where they could wake up and maybe play more better football, I think Wake Forest is a solid enough team where the coaches that will keep them focused to probably win this game by 10.
Definitely. Yeah. Remy, you're going to the Temple game on Saturday. Good luck with that. Seeing Kurt's Warner's son in action. I think that's pretty cool. And they playing Rutgers, if I'm not mistaken, right?
They
I
are,
think
but
that's
people need to understand Kurt Warner is not his father. It's not even
yeah.
close. He doesn't have an arm. He's not
Oh yeah.
big. He's got his name, but that's all he got. So
Yeah. Oh no, yeah. It's definitely a difference. But hey, you never know. You never know. Might click late for some kids. You never know. But yeah, to get on that too, right? I'm a little torn. I'm gonna go Clemson here simply because of that defense. I still think that defense is really good. I would love DJ to play a little bit better than he has been. He hasn't been playing that well. Um, I'm I'm almost at a point, Ray, where I'm ready for Klubnik, and you guys know, or if you don't know, I'm really high on him. We interviewed him, good kid. Been watching his career for 3 years in high school. Interviewed him, I think, when he was a sophomore, actually. Watching him and seeing his progression since, and he got a little bit bigger. He gained 40 pounds over the summer, which, I thought was crazy. Um, Gained 40 pounds, looked very good in his spot action. I'm almost at the point where I'm just like, all right, I think I want to get Klubnik in at this point. Your thoughts on that?
I'm sorry, Jordan. Say that one more time.
Just about Klubnik, Kate Klubnik and his spotty time playing and stuff like that. He looked very efficient to me.
Yeah, he's an efficient player. He is. He absolutely is. I don't see a lot of upside. I just think he's a system type solid player. But yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Hey, I think he might be that next best, not next best, but the next, wave of good quarterbacks that's coming into, play. Just again, his spot duty, yes. But when he did play, he looked good to me. I mean, when they played the first game, I forgot who they played, and he came in, they were rolling. So, that's just my take on that.
I think they have to see him play and they get more game film on him that
Yeah.
maybe you'll see a little bit different.
Yeah, I think he got a bigger upside than JJ, honestly.
Oh, he
Yeah,
does have better upside. He does.
yeah, yeah.
He does for sure.
Okay. Well, all right. At least we're on the same page with that. And guys, y'all know how much I like JJ McCaffrey, so that's just saying a lot. All right, let's get to our next game. Missouri versus Auburn. Auburn's favored by 7 now. Wow, that changed a lot. Both two on one. Got that bad loss last week for Auburn. Who you taking on this one, right? They are home.
TCU.
TCU.
Yeah, I'm taking TCU. I mean, it's
Oh no
only.
no no the Mizzou Auburn game.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I
Yeah.
skipped by Missouri. Ooh, hoo, 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 hoo.
Auburn's favored by 7.
I'm going to
That's
take Auburn only because they're favored by 7. But after watching them play last week, dude, I have a hard time with that pick. But if it is Missouri, so Missouri's a mess. So I'll take it.
yeah, that's hard. I think I'm gonna go the same route as you, but reluctantly. Like I think we're both on the same page with that. Like the way Auburn looked last week, ugh. But at the same time, like Auburn, I mean, who they play? Michigan? No, not Michigan. Penn State
Yeah.
or Mizzou. It's kind of like this. So it's a big difference between the two schools. But yeah, Auburn did not look good last week. I think this will be enough for them to rebound, but it's also kind of hard to pick them right after a game like that. Let's get to our chat room real quick. Remy says they played UMass. Rutgers was last week. Really? Who won that? I'm guessing Rutgers, right? Was it a good game? I don't even remember that score. Hold on, I'm gonna have to check it. Actually, let me see.
That
I don't.
wasn't one of the games that we had, so I didn't even
Yeah,
look.
we didn't have that game, so
I
I
mean,
was
that's
a
the
little
thing. Like
unaware.
when you only have enough time to like look at, like I looked at every
Ooh,
game, but
yeah,
I only looked at the games we had
yeah,
picked.
Ray. That was actually a good game, 16-14.
That's a good game.
Temple,
Okay, all right,
well, close game. How about that?
I got
Close game.
that. Okay, good. That's
Temple got a fourth quarter touchdown to make it 14, 16, um, to make it close like that. But Temple only scored in the first quarter and the last quarter, and then Rutgers was 3-7, 3-3-3. So,
Rutgers has
eh,
played solid football this year.
yeah,
Yeah, and
they're definitely better than they were.
it's really that's a weird thing because I root for both of them teams because they're local teams basically, and they have their runs of solid football. Then nothing.
Definitely. He says Temple hasn't been noteworthy for in 6 years, so Warner's son playing there has me curious. I agree with that.
It has me curious too, but I've seen him. I've seen Warner's son play. He's not very good. He's not. There's nothing special about him. I mean, you could
Yeah,
say his father was this, his father was that, but his father made quick decisions and he had a big time plus arm. His son does not have that. I'm rooting for him. We'll see.
yeah, and that's why I didn't realize that the game was last week because being down here in SEC Nation now, I don't get to see the Temples or Rutgers or even hear about them like I used to. So it's like, oh yeah, they played last week. I knew they played soon. I just thought it was this week, not last week. But anyway, let's go to our next one. TCU versus SMU. Ray, you already kind of teased it. You taking TCU?
I'm taking TCU again. They're only favored by 2, which doesn't make me feel great about it, but
Yeah.
I'll take them.
Yeah. The Texas showdown right here. SMU is not the same team. I think TCU is a better team too, right? So I'm gonna do it as well. Um, not not. I mean, this is a good line. I think this is a really good line because I think both teams are close. I think Texas Christian is a little bit better, so I'm gonna go with them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next game, Minnesota versus Michigan State. Michigan State coming off that loss last week. Um, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, um, Minnesota was favored, and they still are. So Minnesota is away. Michigan State is home. Minnesota's favored by 3.
I'm going to take Minnesota.
Yeah. I'm not gonna make that mistake again. I'm gonna do the same thing.
I mean,
And
I'm a PJ Fleck fan. I think he's a good coach. Not that I don't like Michigan State's coach,
yeah,
because I do. But again, they're playing on the road. They're 2.5 point favorites. Leads me to tend to go that way. That's all.
yeah, and based on what we talked about earlier with the running game, they can get that going. And like I said, I can't trust Thorne to sling the ball the entire game and expect them to win. They can't
Right.
get this running game to going like they did last year. And like you said, with the defense, it helps out the defense get them off the field. They were not that good.
No, they were not that good. They
Cannot,
struggled at times last year too, but
yeah, they
they could
cannot
run
run
the
the ball.
ball. They last year they were really good at running the ball.
Very
They
good.
kind of hit their defense that it wasn't very good. So
Yeah, no, I agree. So I'm gonna go with that as well, Ray. All right. Now we're gonna get to your game because you got a pretty good game, big game here. North Carolina is at home playing Notre Dame. North Carolina is favored by 1.5. Who taking, right?
I'm going to take Notre Dame. Reluctantly, I am taking them.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, their offensive line has not played great, but their offensive
Yeah.
line played better last week. And the fact that North Carolina is at home and only favored by 1.5 leads me to believe that Notre Dame at least has a fighting shot. So I'll go with that.
Yeah, I've been on your side all year, and it's the one time I'm gonna have to go against you guys. Um, the offensive line not doing it for me. Payne is like you said, he's kind of a country quarterback. He's not that good. He's okay. And I just think that this is probably their second best competition of the year. Um, and yeah, they got their first one last week. This is gonna be a tough one, especially when you're away, you know. And
It's going to be a tough game for him for sure.
yeah, for sure.
Um,
See how the
it's
line is. So it is a close line, and
it
this is more. I'm sorry, Ray.
very
This is
fun.
more. This is more of an evaluation of Notre Dame than North Carolina because I don't have faith in North Carolina either right now, honestly, either. And I see why the line is the way it is, and that's a good line, and that's why I pick games like this. But I just think that Notre Dame, man, is just disappointing, you know. And like again, I'm not a fan of Notre Dame at all. I do want you guys to succeed though, and I think that this year, with the fact that the offensive line been bad, the injury to the quarterback, like if y'all still had what's his name, and I forget his name right now,
Another Buckner.
Buckner, yeah, y'all still have Buckner, I would have gave you this game, but the fact that you don't, you just talked about how Payne been, looking down at the defense when he's about to get hit. I can't do
Well, here's the one thing that I would say to that: Carolina plays defense.
it. True, 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 true,
So if
true.
there's any game where the offensive line can get right and Drew Pine can look efficient, hopefully this is that game.
I give you that. I give you that. I mean, hey, we'll see. And
They
again,
didn't. They haven't played defense in 2 years in North Carolina.
yeah. Well, like
I
I think
mean,
y'all. I will say this. This is probably the most historically bad your offensive line been. Like you guys usually have
without a
a
doubt, dude.
really good offensive
No,
line. That's
no
usually
question
like the
about that.
staple of your offense. Usually your offensive line. This
Absolutely.
is like historically bad offensive line play
No,
by
it's really bad right now.
yeah.
The tackles have not played well. Their interior is a mess. But
Yeah.
again, they did manage to move the pile last week.
Hmm.
Hopefully, with the inability of North Carolina to play any kind of coverage against anybody,
Yeah.
Drew Pine can right himself in this game. Again, do I feel safe and comfortable? No, I don't. But
Yeah.
again, North Carolina, if North Carolina should be favored by more than a point and a half in this game because they are playing at home, and Notre Dame's offensive line has not played good, but they did play better last week. And Cal has a good defense, and North Carolina doesn't play any, so we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. And I'll say this too. But the only if there is a bright spot on Carolina's defense, usually it is their offensive defensive line rather. So I'm kind of banking on that, but it could go either way. It could go, and that's why the line is the way it is. I just say it
Well, of
can
course,
go
they always
either way.
want to get money on both sides of the ball, or
Yeah,
both on both teams. That's why they make the line. But again, if Notre Dame can't run the ball against Carolina and make some plays downfield, even with Drew Pine, then really the season's over. I mean,
yeah,
it's over anyway.
yeah. No,
But
I
it's
agree.
over, over, over. Like Marcus Freeman, this is they're not. There's nobody in Notre Dame thinks Marcus Freeman doesn't deserves to be fired. But there are some people in the Twitter
Uh,
zone. Oh man, you'd be surprised though, Jerome.
I know. I hear you because fans are
No, I'm not
crazy.
saying that
Fans
I.
are crazy. I hear you, but to fire him, nah, you can't do that. You can't do that yet.
No,
He's
I
doing way
agree
too
with
good.
you. You can't do it yet.
He's
But
doing way too good with the recruiting. You're gonna lose a lot of recruits if you do that right now. A
I
lot.
agree with that. I agree with that. But you know how the staff is with win losses, man. Like you can't lose. Like they can't go 4-10, dude. They can't.
Yeah,
I mean
yeah,
4-8. They can't. If they do that, here
yeah,
they won't fire Marcus Freeman, but they definitely will fire some of the staff, without a doubt.
yeah. Somebody's gonna get fired. Yeah, 100,
Yep.
percent 100%. Don says, any locks y'all have for this week? And this week, can I tell y'all my picks? So yeah, definitely tell us your picks. We're gonna get to our locks at the end. So in case there's a game or whatever, that we can cover, and then whatever we don't cover from there, we'll talk about our locks and stuff like that. Um, Don says Thursday, Coastal Carolina. That's who we picked as well. He says Kansas versus Duke. Taking Kansas.
I would take Kansas all day in that game too.
Yeah, I like the
Kansas
line.
plays has a good offense. Duke is like Carolina. They play no defense. This is not college basketball. No defense.
Definitely. Kansas over Texas Tech. We're gonna talk about that one. So give us a second on that one. USC versus Oregon. Oregon State. We're gonna talk about that as well. USC defense stinks. Yeah, we just kind of talked about that. UNC rather. Any thoughts on UNLV versus Utah State? Last year, Utah State was money. That one is a close one. I might go UNLV though.
I would probably go UNLV too.
Yeah,
Again, they have a good solid offense. Utah State defense is not good, so I would go there too. So
yeah. No, definitely, definitely. All right, let's get to our next one, Ray. We got the Arizona versus Cal. Both teams just coming off a loss. Arizona just lost their quarterback. Um, Cal is actually home and they're favored by 3, which is pretty much a pick 'em. Who taking on this one, Ray?
I'm going to take Cal only because they have a good defense, and
Yeah,
Arizona's offense has been anemic all year. So
I'm actually going the same way, Ray. As much as I would love Arizona to kind of go on that emotional high, and this is not after a coaching loss. I just realized they're 2-1. Homer has only lost one game this year. What the heck?
man,
Anyway, I think that's crazy.
yeah,
But oh no, Arizona State. I'm sorry, I'm thinking.
yeah, they about Arizona State. Yeah,
Yeah. I'm sorry, my bad.
Yep.
Wrong team. But Arizona is 2-1. But I am gonna go with Cal as well, right? For the same reasons, their defense is a lot better, and I think that they'll withstand that team. So let's go to our next one: Arkansas versus Texas Tech. I'm sorry, Texas A&M. This is the one that Don wanted to know about, so we're definitely gonna talk about that. Number 10 versus 23. Texas A&M is 2-1. They are favored by 1.5. Arkansas is 3-0. Texas A&M is home. Who you taking, Ray?
Tech and Texas A&M. Texas Tech. I'm taking them. Yep.
I'm taking Arkansas.
Okay.
The way you said that, like, okay, you're gonna lose though.
I didn't say that, but we'll see.
No, and the reason why is that I mean, I said it in the beginning of the year. Texas A&M, like, talented team. I had high hopes for them. Something going on with that coaching staff. I don't know what it is because they are supposed to be way better than they are. And Arkansas has been a solid to mildly good team the last few years, and they've been beating these type of teams the last couple of times. I think the last time, I mean, you had a difference between a team versus Arkansas. I think it might have been actually this game. Arkansas won. I like Arkansas. Hopefully, they keep the ball on the ground like they're supposed to. They are home. I mean, I'm sorry, they are away. But they in Jerry's world too, so you know. You know how Jerry is with his Arkansas guys, so you know how them guys.
Yeah, he's quite full of himself these days. So maybe he should worry more about the Cowboys. So
these days,
yeah.
like it just started, right? It's been going on for a while. He's full of himself for a while, right?
I think that honestly, I don't really want to get into a discussion about Jerry Jones, but people need to realize he's not been a good. I mean, he will always try to win, no matter what he's doing. That's just his mentality.
Yeah.
But his team hasn't been good in 20 years, so he needs to wake up.
Yeah. I think he's, one of those owners that let me just throw talent around these guys, throw all this money at them, and let's see what happens rather than,
If I was Mike,
for too many stars rather than like good players. You get what I'm saying?
if I was Mike McCarthy, I would I would renegotiate my contract right now and try to get more money out of the guy before he gets fired. So
Can Texas A&M score 27 points to win this game because Arkansas can score? That's what I'm talking about too. They can definitely score. I think this game will be in the low 20s. Actually, I'm gonna say like 23-20.
I
That's
could
my.
see.
I don't
I
like
could
to do score
see.
predictions, but I'm gonna say like it's gonna. I think it's gonna be like the 23,
I
20.
could see. I could see that. I could see a 24-21 game, something like
Yeah,
that. I could.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree. I do think it's
Arkansas,
gonna be close. I do think it's gonna be close.
I think it'll be a fairly close game. It'll probably be. I think that's the good thing about these close lines. It
Yeah,
looks like we're going to see decent games for a change. So that's
correct.
a good thing.
No, definitely, definitely. Do y'all see Cowboys beat the Bengals? The Bengals having Super Bowl hangover. I don't think it's the Super Bowl hangover. I just think that offensive line have not improved at all. And when you have a team, and we're not, I'm trying not to stay into the NFL too much, but if you have a team that is predicated on a passing game and your offensive line playing like that, especially early on in the season, and your quarterback's like we just talked about it, when your quarterback only has 4 seconds to throw, and now he's starting to like look down at him. Like, dude, having almost 14 sacks in 2 games is not good. I think it's 12 to 14 sacks, something like that. It's
15.
ridiculous for 2 games.
15 sacks in 2 games.
15?
15.
That's
And the crazy thing about it is you have a good running back and a
yep.
pretty noble quarterback, and you still have 15 sacks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the Super Bowl hangover is a real thing.
Yeah.
If you look in the last 15 years, no Super Bowl loser has made it back past the first round of the playoffs the year after that.
Yeah.
And not to get, like you said, not to get too much into the NFL, but we're all football fans, and Cincinnati's not going to be good this year.
Yeah. Don, I can literally just hear you the way you say it, Lord, and they're like, Lord.
No, do you remember me saying to you before that Cincinnati's wasn't going to be that good this year?
You did. You called that right. You called that
They're
right.
not. They're not going to be good. They have a good quarterback. They have good skill players on offense. But if you don't win up front, you don't win games. They
Yeah.
got lucky last year and caught lightning in a bottle. They did and played against some subpar defenses in the playoffs. They did.
Mm-hmm.
And because we all know Kansas City's offensively is tremendous, especially when they had Tyreek Hill. But their
Yeah.
defense has not been good
Correct.
for years. They got lucky the one year the 49ers have a pedestrian offense, so they got lucky and won the Super Bowl against them.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I root for Joe Burrow. I like the kid. I think he's a phenomenal player. Here, Joe, here's a hint for you. Get out of Cincinnati. God.
Wow. Anyway, let's get off of NFL a little bit because
You got it.
a little too much time on them. But
We
let's get
did.
to this game. I hear you though, Ray. I do. USC versus Oregon State. Two undefeated teams. Oregon State is at home. This line definitely changed. It's 6.5 point favor to USC. Ray, who you taking?
I'm taking Southern Cal. I hate saying it, but I had no choice.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been on Oregon State this whole time, and I do think they do have a chance to win this game. I'm not gonna say they don't, but and Donna's laughing about your your Bengal take. But I can't. I mean, I think Caleb Williams is playing too well to give it to Oregon State. This will definitely be the game I'm gonna be watching on Saturday. I'm gonna be hoping that Oregon State win, but I will give it to USC. As much as I kind of like you, right? I don't really like. I think you do. You hate USC or you just don't like them?
Oh no, I hate them.
Okay, I don't like them. Like
No,
I'm
I
not.
hate, no, 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 no,
The
no.
only time I liked them was when they had Reggie Bush. That was like literally the funnest time. Like I love USC when they had Reggie Bush. Other than
I
that,
enjoyed watching them play because they score a lot of
yeah,
points.
yeah.
But no, I hate them.
Gotcha.
Hate.
Um, Don says, I think USC wins by 10 or more. Um, it could be like that. And again, I still think Oregon does have a chance to win this game, but I'm not going to win a big chance. I mean, as much as I like them, as talented as they are, and I still think they're a sleeper team, I still think they should be ranked because they're currently not. I still think they should be ranked. I think that's based off of who they played, I guess, because they played some good teams, right? Right?
They do. I don't know who they played this year, to be honest with you. I don't know.
They play Boise, Fresno, and the last game was uh, 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 Montana State. The first two games are pretty good games, I think.
Well, Boise State is a good team. The other two teams are
Yeah.
not good, though.
Fresno State had them down the ropes, though. It was 30, 35, 32.
Yeah, Fresno State's a fake team, but it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I, I I don't know. I like Oregon State this year. One of my sleeper teams this year. Not sleeper in the sense of playoff, but sleeper as in good sneaky team that can play really well.
I think they're
I
a
like
solid team. I don't think USC is a great team, but they have a good quarterback and their offensive coach. Their coach is a good offensive mind.
yeah, correct,
Until somebody shows me that they could stop their offense, and no one really has done a great job of doing that.
correct.
So
Yeah, I am definitely interested in seeing this game though. I really am. I think I'm more interested than most people probably are because how I feel about Oregon State. All right, cool. So the next one is Baylor. The last one, Baylor versus Iowa State. Iowa State's been surprising us this year, right? Ray, who you picking in that one?
I'm taking Iowa State. I'm not crazy about that pick either, but
Yeah,
I think they're a little bit more physical. I'll take them. I'll be honest with you. Baylor's one of them teams, man. Like when they had RG3, I liked watching that team play.
the only time I watched them, honestly.
Yeah, like they had a couple scandals go on 3 or 4 years ago regarding young women, and you know how I feel about that stuff. I still have not gotten that bad taste out of my mouth. I'm not gonna lie about it. So I
Gotcha,
just
gotcha.
I don't like that program.
Yeah,
I think that people, man, we all love football, but I hate it when grown men act like Neanderthal. So I'll go with
yeah.
that.
Um, this game I'm very torn on as well, right? For the simple reason is that Iowa played Iowa. I mean, Iowa State played Iowa, 10-7 game, very close, low scoring game. Blew out two very underwhelming teams in Iowa. I mean, Ohio and wherever team this is. What's this? Southeast Missouri um State, Southwest Missouri State. Geez, that's a handful to say. Um, they're playing Baylor this year. I mean, this game. I think I'm gonna give. I think I'm gonna give it to Baylor, man. I've seen a little bit better play out of Baylor. Iowa looked good. They look solid in their win against Iowa, but you're gonna play against your rival. I mean, that rivalry been like that even when Iowa State wasn't really good the last 2 years. So I think I'm gonna go opposite with you on this one again, Ray, and I'm gonna take Baylor.
Alrighty.
So we got a couple differences on here. We
We
got
do.
one,
3.
three. Oh,
Yep.
three. Okay.
Yeah,
So hey,
North
man.
Carolina, Arkansas, and Baylor.
Yeah. Hey,
Next week,
man. We
next
we
week this time we could be even.
Yeah, that's maybe we'll see. But hey,
We
that
will.
that tells you how me and you feel about a lot of these teams. We have very like-minded um thinking on a lot of these games. So that's pretty cool. I like that.
Again, I think it just shows that the games are going to be better quality than
Mhm.
early on. I mean, like week
Yeah,
one, we had some decent games.
correct. I
We
think week one is always that filler game where you're trying to fill out how teams are gonna play too.
correct.
So
There's
and that's why me only being up by two games right now make me nervous because like that first game, you don't really expect to get all of them right anyway. You're still trying to figure out how it's gonna play out. There's no preseason.
no.
There's very sloppy play in the first couple of games, and then the turnover of a lot of these programs too. So
And not only that, like you have some different coaches, some
yep,
with the transfer portal, the guys moving from different teams. It kind of changes the atmosphere a little bit. Um, I just, I just
they
want,
did. They
I
did.
just want to see the football.
Don, you do have a good point. They turned over the ball in the red zone twice.
They did
But
twice. Yes. Yep.
they did turn the ball over. You get what I'm saying? Like,
They did. Yep.
so it's like it's a could have, would have kind of situation, but what happened happened. They turned the ball over. So We'll see.
Yep.
Baylor's a pretty good team. I think Baylor can win it. I understand your point though. It's very close to, for me. So this is not like a
I mean,
home run like Ray. What's wrong with you? It's Baylor all the way kind of
well,
thing. This
yes,
is
the
like
funny thing is,
Ray. You could win this game
the
because
funny thing is, I have a friend of mine who basically went to Baylor, has a degree from there, and he just went and visited a friend of his who was like one of his mentors, one of his teachers, and he's in his mid 90s. The gentleman's in his mid 90s, and I was texting back and forth, and he was telling me, and he's not a football fan. The guy I'm from with, he's not a football fan at all, and he was surprised. He's surprised by how many things I know about college teams or colleges in general.
yeah,
And I tell him, that you gotta remember, I follow college football, so I know a lot about these teams. Because he
right,
acted like I should know the Baylor Bears. I'm like, well, of course I know that. That's
yeah,
the
yeah,
football team. That's their
yeah.
mascot. Blah blah
Correct,
blah.
correct, correct.
And he was like, yeah, well. And then he brought up to me, oh, remember the scandal from a few years ago? I was like, yeah, I do remember that. And until they get that taste out of my mouth, man, I'm gonna have a hard time rooting for them.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you.
So.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's get to our last point from Don earlier. He asked us, if I can find it, he asked us for our lock games. So, Ray, your lock game.
I'm going to go for Rick Clemson over Wake Forest by 8. I do. I think, again, Clemson's not played great football. Wake Forest has a good, solid defense, but
Mhm.
they usually traditionally don't put up a lot of points on offense. And I think Clemson wins that game kind of going away. And I'll give you another one. I have Cal over Arizona pretty easily, actually. So,
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Minnesota. I think that's a lot for me. I just don't like how Michigan State's running. Yeah, I picked them last
no,
week.
I like that too. I actually like that game again because I'm a PJ Fleck fan. The
Yeah,
only reason I'm a little worried is Minnesota has a hard time sustaining offense at times. So
yeah, they do. They're kind of streaky with that again, and that's
yeah,
why I think that's a good line.
it is a
Um,
good line though, for sure.
yeah. Don says, "Can you trust?" No. All right. So Don, I'm gonna answer this for Ray. It's not about their offense; it's about their defense. I'm just gonna say
Yes,
that.
no, and I agree with what Don says there. Can I
Right.
trust Clemson's offense? No, and worse yet, I don't trust their offensive staff calling plays, which is
Yeah.
what really scares me about Clemson. But
Yeah.
talent
It,
wise, I think their defense is good enough to put maybe score defensive touchdowns and
yeah.
put them over the top. And we know Clemson's offensive line is not good,
Yeah.
but run the ball.
They can run the ball. They could definitely run the ball. Yep.
I mean, why are you asking this guy again?
And
Be Trevor
that's
Lawrence. I don't get that.
right. And that's the thing. Like, that's the funny thing about what you're saying right now, because it's like Clemson had such a good run, especially on offense, the last few years. It just seemed like as soon as DJ got in the game, they just don't know how to run the offense with him for whatever reason. It just, and I'm not gonna put that all on the staff. DJ looked horrible at times. He don't look good, and that's why my bold prediction from 2 years ago was a total flop. I had him going in the Heisman. It just seemed like the offensive coordinator or offensive playmaker or whatever,
Play
they just
caller.
can't. Yeah, play caller. They just can't get. They just can't fit the offense for DJ for whatever reason. It's just like they're trying to force feed him to do what they want instead of molding it to what works for him. And I think that's running the ball, like you say, right?
I mean, I just think that like if I have an offensive line who doesn't pass block well, then I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
run the ball. I mean, like I just don't understand.
Don says he loves y'all. He loved our information on the game of college football. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate
I do
that.
appreciate
Yeah,
it also. Thank you, Don.
yeah, definitely. Man, me and Ray talk. Me, I get. I think I said this last week. Me and Ray talks off the air about football for another hour after the podcast. So we're football heads, man. We definitely football heads, and we try to keep in the game. And I think in my knowledge is that I cover a lot of high school football too. So I'm getting a sense of how these kids play a little bit before they get into college too, because that kind of helps me. Where Ray got a lot of knowledge, watching it for so long as well, and he's very entrenched into football too, not just college football but NFL as well. So and I know college football is his love, but Ray's very knowledgeable, very smart guy. I lean on him for a lot of information and knowledge as well. So I think we feed off each other pretty well.
Agreed.
Sometimes I have a little bit of emotion into my picks and stuff like that, which
We all
but
do, man.
yeah,
Football is an emotional sport, and if you don't add
right,
some emotion to it,
right,
you come off a little bit dry. I mean,
yeah.
not Skip Bayless emotional, stupid, just emotional.
Yeah, we have intelligent,
Yeah,
opinions,
I don't just throw.
and less
The
bias.
one
Yeah,
thing I don't do is I don't just throw stuff out there to get
correct.
people to clickbait or wherever, however you want to put it, like
Yeah,
those guys do. Because
definitely.
honestly, if Skip Bayless was paid on how much he's right, he would owe the network money. To be honest with you, we have to pay them.
Skip Bayless, man, the most delusional. He has to be the most delusional Cowboys
I've never
fan. He
seen
has to be.
anything. How can you be wrong 99% of the time and still have a job?
That's funny. That's too funny. It's funny, but it's entertaining because when
Oh,
he
that's
gets something
the thing.
wrong, and then the next Monday
He forgets
he
all
has to
about
beat
it.
it. Yeah, yep. So I
Honestly,
get it too. It's entertaining. I get
he
it.
forgets all about it. I swear to God. But here's the difference, though. Like I told you before, I listen to a lot of college football podcasts, different stuff, mostly Notre Dame stuff, but a lot of different things. And NFL stuff, I listen to mostly Miami stuff. But I don't listen to anybody who tells me stupid things. You can only be wrong so many times in my mind. Like, honestly, I don't think I'm always right, but I'm pretty sure I give out better information that, like, more like
Educated guesses. You know what I
correct,
mean? Like
better educated
we're,
guesses
we're like looking into the
than
statistics, looking
certain
into like
guys. But
yeah,
by all means, if I'm wrong 90% of the time, turn me off because I would.
100%. No, 100%. And Ray, like I said, the last couple of years you've been killing me with the college football rankings or predictions. You've been a lot smarter than me on a lot of them. So for me to be only up for 2 points, I'm nervous. That's why I said that in the beginning because you're very smart, Ray, and I do appreciate you
Here's
being
the
on.
one thing I want to say before I get off, and this is not really regarding college football, and this is about like I'm going to say one Tua, okay?
Let's go, yo. Thank you, Tua. Because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have lost. I wouldn't have won my fantasy game by 1 point.
Oh,
That's
really?
that's 1 point.
Ooh, Jerome,
1 point.
I won. You know what? I like our team in our league, my team in our
Yeah.
league. I won again. Not really that hard. In another league I'm in, I won by 9/10 of a point, dude.
Wow.
I thought all day Sunday, I'm like, well, I'm going to lose this week because the other team they needed like 8 points to beat me. I won by 9/10 of a point.
Yeah, real quick before we get off, I'm gonna talk about my fantasy because it's crazy. So all my players was done by Sunday night, right? And as you know, we had two double headers. By the way, ESPN, what was you thinking? What was that?
I don't understand that.
It wasn't even a double header. It was two games at the same
Basically,
time.
over top of each other, yeah.
What was that? ESPN, we need to talk. We need to talk. But anyway, it's not about y'all. It's about us.
Yeah.
But I was up mainly because of Tyreek Hill. I do have Tyreek Hill, and I got Cooper Cup.
There you go.
I don't even know how I got those two wide receivers, but I got both of them. I got Cooper Cup and Tyreek Hill.
If you want, I can tell you why. Because people don't believe it too. They thought Tyreek Hill was going to struggle.
No, you're right.
He really struggled last week, didn't he?
Yeah, dude. When I see him in the second round, I was like, I'm double up on wide receivers. I don't care.
Do you know that is the first time in the NFL history that two wide receivers had 11 receptions and over 150 yards each and 2 touchdowns? The first time ever.
Insane. It was insane.
First time ever. Well, the one good thing about it is Dan Marino doesn't hold all 5 passing records for Miami now.
There you go. There you go. But all right. So Sunday night, my total points was 166. Now, if you don't play fantasy football, that's a very good number. 166.
It is.
Very high number. If you get past the
Dude,
120s,
I can
then
tell you,
you most likely gonna win. You should win.
I can tell you why I had 144 and won by like 50 something in our league.
There you go. So
Right.
if you over 120 in normal like regular PPR kind of leagues without it being jacked up on different points and stuff like that, you over 120, you should have a good night most of the time. I'm up almost 129 points, something like that, past my guy. He has Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and the kicker.
Wow.
They went off. And he had Dallas Goddard.
Wow.
So I got so lucky because he came out. Obviously, if every time Josh Allen threw to Stephon Diggs got a touchdown, he's getting double the points each time. So this man is catching up to me hard. And then they stopped. They took out the starters. They was already up by like 42-7, something crazy like that. They took out the starters, and I was only up by 4 points. And he had Dallas Goddard still on the field, and I'm just like, dude, I'm gonna lose. I'm going to lose, yo. And it was only halftime at that point of the Eagles game. Well, about to be halftime. Dallas Goddard got 2 long passes. I was like, oh yeah, I'm done. It's over. It's over. I lost. He only got 1 target in the second half of the game, and I won by 1 point.
Wow.
I was like, yo, this is
man, this is honestly, Jerome, that is the one thing that bothers me about fantasy football. I hate it when people talk crap about it. Because 90% of it's just luck, dude. It really is. Like, we all know football, or we wouldn't be involved in it. Yeah. So, like, really, it is just luck. And I hate it when, and I'm an old guy. To me, you talk crap on the field, but off the field, you keep your mouth shut.
Correct.
No, okay, but not everybody is that way. Guys like to talk.
Real quick, let's answer that real quick before we go. Right.
I think Lamar Jackson should hire an agent. I think that negotiating his own contract and letting his mom be involved has probably hurt him a lot. Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you, dude. I probably wouldn't pay him $40 million a year, but somebody's probably going to.
They might have to.
They may have to. Well, I mean, honestly, Lamar Jackson is a very talented player, and he's a great athlete. I mean, I don't know how good he is as a passer still. I mean, if you looked at like the fourth quarter of the Miami game now, they could have been where they kind of just thought, well, let's just try to run the ball and kill clock. We still have a decent lead. And it kind of bit him in the rear end. It wouldn't be the first time the team has done that. Mm-hmm. But what I saw from Miami is they just kept him in the pocket, and he struggled there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say I understand why Baltimore might be a little hesitant because they've been injured the last couple of years.
Right. That's the big deciding factor.
If he can show that he can stay healthy this year, I think he can get the bag, as the kids say today. They can't get the bag. He can't get the bag. But I just think that, him being his own agent don't hurt him, because I get why he stopped doing the negotiations for the season, because he have to concentrate on the season. He won't be able to really focus on all of that as well, because he is his own agent. I don't knock it as long as you know what you're doing. If you know what you're doing and stuff like that, and you know how to not get manipulated by a franchise, because a franchise will try to do that to you, I think you're fine. I don't have a problem with that. It's just that I get where the Ravens are doing, because again, you don't want to have an RG3 situation. And I'm not saying in the sense where because Washington didn't pay RG3, but you don't want him to get injured again, never be the same, and you just paid this man. So I get the organization side of it, because he has been injured the last 2 years.
I think, honestly, if you want my opinion, that if he had an agent, he'd probably be signed by now.
Oh yeah, he probably would have, but I get it too.
I think
that the process is a lot slower when you don't have an agent.
Correct. It's going to sound. I don't want people to take this the wrong way. having his mom as an agent, dude, is just not a good look. And we
A
know
lot of
what,
yeah,
and we all know
a lot of emotions into it.
that 80% of the NFL owners are Neanderthals, and they probably don't feel like they should have to negotiate with a woman. I mean, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying that's how they look at it, and they'll never admit that. But we know how these guys think, dude. That's why they all have trophy wives. Okay, let's be honest
Yeah,
about
I'm gonna stay off for that one. But
it.
guys, thank you for checking us out today on the I'm about to say Air It Out podcast. I haven't been on podcast for a while. I'm about to say Air It Out podcast with the RPO College Football Podcast. If you want to watch the Air It Out podcast, that will be tomorrow. Hopefully, the guys will be on talk NFL. I know we talked a little bit here. We're the college football podcast, but they will talk a lot more with you guys. So make sure you go check that out tomorrow. Usually around 6 o'clock Eastern time. So try to tune in. Hit that notification bell on our YouTube channel. Don, thank you for being in. As always, Remy, again, thank you as well, always as well. Um, Appreciate y'all. And you see how our guys, they've been here. They put their comments in here live. You could do the same thing if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, as you see right under Ray, right over there, right in that,
Right
there, right
there,
there,
next to my
right
underneath
there.
my name to the side there. Drive right
Yes,
there. And again, um, we enjoy doing this, so we appreciate everybody who kind of tunes in.
definitely.
Um, Again, we all love college football, love football in general. I could watch any kind of football really,
Same,
from
same.
Pop Warner all the way up to the NFL. So I'm good with that. I just think that it's going to be interesting to see how things shake out. We got a lot of good college games, a good slate of NFL games this week. So I'm looking forward to both days, to be honest with you. So
Yeah, and I can repeat exactly what Ray's saying, man. I love football from every level. I'm going to two high school games this weekend. I'm actually going to Alabama, Ray, to watch ING Academy play for the first time live. I
that's
usually
going to be
go to,
awesome. Very
yeah, I usually go to their media day. I'm going to their game live, so that's going to be a really fun game. I want to see that atmosphere. Going to a different state to watch it, so that's going to be really cool. You guys on here get to hear me say that live. I haven't said that live yet or put that information out yet, but going to Alabama for the IG Academy. So in there, got the credentials, everything like that. I'll be on field side, so that's going to be really cool. See how many interviews we can get out of that. But so check that out. Make sure you check it out. We do all that stuff on our YouTube channel, on Twitter, all that stuff like that, especially YouTube and Twitter. We do it on Instagram and all that other stuff as well. But make sure you go follow us right on that QR code. You scan that and you can follow us all on there. We got all that for you. So definitely check that out. I'll come back with some good stories for you guys. But thank you all once again. I'm your humble host, Jerome Jones. This is Ray Roberts. I hope you guys really enjoy your college football weekend, man. I know it's going to be a good one. And looking forward to talking to you guys again next week, man. It's going to be a good one. And like Ray said, always enjoy being with you guys. So we do appreciate everybody that's on here. And again, if you can't be on here and you want to watch the replay, you can definitely do that. Go on our YouTube channel and put your comments on there as well, because we do answer every comment on our YouTube channel, even if we're not live. So you can do that as well. So again, Jerome Jones, Ray Roberts, thank you guys so much. This is the RPO podcast. See ya. Have a good one and stay
Take
safe,
care,
everybody.
guys.
Peace.